Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Charles Coachman, and this is Bay Area Let's Talk. Let's Talk. I hope that you're having a great afternoon. Hope that you are having a terrific afternoon. I'm going to put some information down here. Again, Charles Coachman, if you want to give me a text, send me a text, 408-439-0766. Or you can send me an email to bayarealetstalk@gmail.com. I like to remind everybody that we are powered by StreamYard. That's a platform that we are using to send out our broadcasts. And we also like to let people know about the Grow Live Academy, Ken Walls Academy. And it is for folks to learn how to do live streams. And then we are powered by StreamYard, and that is StreamYard.com. And then another platform that we're using to send out videos to our clients is Hippo Video. Hippo Video. So if you would like some more information on those, just let me know. Just let me know with that. Hey, one of the things that I like to do as we get started each day is to do a shout out. And happy birthday to my cousin, Troy Coachman, up in the Seattle area. Troy and I are close to being the same age, but he's a little bit younger, but it is his birthday, so he's moving up on me. He's trying to catch up. So Troy, happy birthday to you. And if it was your birthday out there, happy birthday to you. We must not be friends on Facebook, or maybe you're just not wanting to share your birthday, but hey, let's do that. Anyway, if it's your birthday out there, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. So I want to take a quick look and get things going. I also wanted to wish my Aunt Nancy Rudkin out in Antioch a quick and swift recovery from a fall that she just took. And I just learned about it early this morning from my sister, who lives near my aunt and uncle, and she just let me know that she had taken a pretty bad fall. Both my aunt and uncle are in their 80s, and she was letting her dogs out the back door, and she took a fall. Unfortunately, took a fall, and it was a pretty bad bruising fall. So Aunt Nancy, I just want you to know that I'm thinking about you, and I hate that happened. And Uncle Al, I'm thinking about you and knowing that you are going to do everything that you can to take care of your bride of over 60 years. Anyway, let's get going. They know that I'm thinking about them. Let's get going. We're going to be covering something called the bubble watch. Record low mortgage rates makes little sense at this point. So on my earlier show this morning, which I did on real estate, that's the second show of the morning. We do an early morning Bible class where we're just reading through Proverbs. And at this point, we're going through the New Testament. And the second show is on real estate. So one of the things that was doing on that, we're looking at an acronym or an acrostic. I think acronym is the right term. And the term was think. This is about real estate. When you were doing a deal, a lot of people, a lot of youngsters don't think about, hey, this is what we're doing, and we need to figure out what we're doing when we are making a deal. And so I like everyone to think about what we're doing. First T is team. Remember, when you are purchasing real estate or when you are selling real estate, it's a team format. You have a very large team, even though you may not be aware of it. You have a realtor, but behind the realtor, there are probably 30 to 40 other people backing him up or her up to make sure that you get everything done that you need to have done. So I want you to understand that this is a team. And then H is help. You will always have plenty of help around. And that will make sure that you are taken care of. We'll be able to look to those team members for help to make sure that you're able to close your deal. Information. Information. That means you're going to get more information than you thought you may ever need to complete a real estate transaction, but certainly it is well worth every minute and every slip of paper that you get when you're putting the bigger part of your finances and your worth into purchasing a home. The next thing that we need to talk about, the N is equal to neighborhood. Know the neighborhood that you're going into. We want to make sure that you're aware of that. We want to make sure that you found the neighborhood that you are going to like. Then you went out and did your own studies along with talking with your realtor about the neighborhood that you're looking to move into. You want to make sure that you do that. I've had some of my clients go out and sit on a Friday and Saturday night to see what the weekend was going to be like, what kind of noise, what kind of traffic, just to find out. And you can talk with your neighbors too, or prospective neighbors, and find out. And then finally, the K is keys. Now, it's nice to get the keys at the end of the transaction so you can walk in, open the door to your home with your own keys. But there's a lot of key elements to getting a deal done too. So keys has two areas that you're working with, not just the physical key, but also making sure that you're understanding what is the key, what are the keys to making a transaction happen. So that was my acrostic acronym thinking when you're out buying a home. And I want to make sure that we've got that and understand that. Bay Area, let's talk. Let's get into here. Let's get rid of that. And let's move on. Now, the reason that I wanted to talk about real estate there for a minute was one of the big stories today, another story that was written by Jonathan Lanzner, Bubble Watch, record low mortgage rates make little sense at this time. So in the week ending January 8th, the 10-year-old bond rate continued its late 2020 surge by hitting 1%. That is up from the 0.55% in August. This is the 10-year rate since March when the coronavirus began wreaking health and economic havoc. The mortgage benchmark started the new year by falling to 2.65, the 17th record low since the pandemic upended the economy. Currently, rates are down to 2.88 in August when the 10-year rate bottomed. So we want to make sure and understand what we know is happening with these rates. These rates are some of the best that have ever been out there. So if you are interested in buying a home, you need to get out there and be prepared. That's one of the portions of my think is you need to be prepared with your lenders and have everything ready to go, because right now you can get those great interest rates. Also, especially in the Bay Area and those places that are high market, high volume areas on both of the coasts. We have places that are very, very outrageously priced. In San Jose, our median priced home is like $1.25 million. 1.25 million, that's quite a bit of change there. But at least you have good, excellent rates to work with. Excellent rates to work with. But we know that as the interest rates rise a bit, the prices of homes will come down. So you have a little bit of a scale to work with there. As interest rates go up, prices go down, but your payments go up. We have to look at that, and we have to see how it's going to offset. So if you're in an area where you can take advantage of these rates the way they are right now, take advantage of them. Take advantage of them, because we may not see this again. Our average rates over about a 50-year period had been close to 6%. In these last 10 years, we've had slower rates, and we've had slower rates of growth, but we've seen our interest rates trickle down. It can't go much lower, but what we see is things are going to have to start going up. And as they do, that means prices will come down a little bit, but each time you trickle up, each time that interest rate heads up, it takes a step up that ladder, prices on homes go down. But your payment will remain the same or a little more. We have to be careful with that. If you have an opportunity to buy a house now with those interest rates the way they are, you need to take advantage of it. I've done some interviews with a couple of different lenders, and I will be doing a couple more over the next few weeks. And we're going to talk about what's happening right now. What are they seeing? What is being predicted? My crystal ball and my magic 8-ball are both a little messed up, so I can't get a good answer from them. But I believe that interest rates are going to begin to go up, and we are going to see prices drop a little bit. But if you can get into a home right now while rates are at all-time lows, do it. Do it. Take that chance. Go out there and do it. Now, we'll make sure that you are going to be getting into a safe loan, because Lord knows the worst thing that we want to happen is somebody not to get into a safe loan. Lenders are going to check your credit. They're going to be looking at every little thing to see what they can do for you or what they can't do for you. So we want to make sure that that is all good. Another thing that California has been taking a look at, and we're starting to see more and more of this happening. While the rest of the nation is enjoying the low costs of using natural gas, California is cutting it out. This was an article by J.D. Morris. Over the past year and a half, a groundswell of California communities and counties have embraced the environmental movement to end the use of natural gas in buildings. Now, supporters of the effort are looking ahead to further victories this year, despite legal challenges and oppositions from some business leaders. You know, we have a chance to utilize what we've been doing for the last few years by getting natural gas from the ground. But people still don't want to use it. We've had some problems. Yes, we've had some explosions. Most of the time that we've had any problems, they are from old pipes, and they are from people that are working on the pipes that didn't know they were there. So that's a problem. But the impact of 2020 is this concept is becoming mainstream, and it is set up for even more wins in 2021, said Matt Go, a senior campaign representative for the Sierra Club's My Generation campaign. The movement took root in California in July 2019 when Berkeley became the first city in the United States to ban natural gas in most new buildings. Now, you can expect that there's going to be people that are going to argue about it because it makes things a little more difficult. We had our kitchen remodeled 5 years ago now, and we switched to natural gas because I think it's a more efficient way of cooking. But of course, now there's different types of appliances that are being used, and so they're getting more efficient by going electric. Electric is still the most expensive way to go. Even if you have solar power, you want to make sure that you're going to be able to run everything. And you're going to be able to run everything efficiently. So I just wanted to take a look at this article. The Bay Area remains really the epicenter of this movement, says Pierre Delforge, a senior scientist with the National Resources Defense Council. Cities that passed or expanded electric billing codes in 2020 include the major population centers of San Francisco, San Jose, and Oakland. So we are going to be those areas that are hit by higher prices for those homes that do not have solar power. But as we know, new homes that are being built are going to have solar power, which is adding to the cost of the new homes. But hopefully it will keep the energy costs down. Now, my wife and I are getting solar. And should we move in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, we are going to pass that on. And the new owners will be able to take advantage of those savings. They'll be able to cut PG&E out for the most part with the electrical. And one of the people that we talked with and worked with on this was Jamie Green. Jamie Green is known as the Solar Queen, and she has helped us. And if you are looking for information on that, we would be glad to give you a hand with that. We can get you a link so that you can take a look if you're interested in doing solar. Even though I prefer gas in California is a lot more expensive than it is in the rest of the Bay Area. Wonder why? I wonder why. So we are starting to, our high-tech companies, looks like we are starting to get more and more union talk, unionizing workers. I'm taking a look at an article, and I may just blow this lady's name for sure, if it is a lady or man. Chase D. Feliciano Antonio. So, Chase, I hope I didn't rip your name apart too badly. But tech saw itself as a different type of corporate environment, says Margaret O'Mara, a professor at the University of Washington and historian of Silicon Valley. Instead of three-piece suits and corner offices, early chip makers modeled workplaces on non-hierarchical engineering labs that saw unions as a sign that you were doing something wrong as a company. So here we are talking about Alphabet, more commonly known as Google. The new group at Alphabet, called Alphabet Workers Union and affiliated with the Communications Workers of America, is a different sort of union. While most workers band together to demand better pay and working conditions, the Alphabet Union instead seeks to organize workers around issues from fighting gender-based and racial discrimination to policing the ways they see the company as straying from its original "Don't Be Evil" slogan. Google did not respond to a request for comment on the story in response to the union's formation earlier this week. The company said it has always tried to create a supportive workplace and respected labor rights. Some of the ways that they have done this is by always giving higher pay wages to everybody. Your pay rates are higher than most of the standard rates throughout the Bay Area and throughout the nation. But some things have caused a little bit of an uproar. Google reports a generous exit package for an executive accused of sexual harassment led thousands of Google workers around the world to walk out in 2018. Of course, now they've also spoke up about President Trump and what happened over this last week. And President Trump's videos are still up on YouTube, which is owned by Google. And they want to get that taken care of and get those down. So, union fights in the Silicon Valley are not new, but it's new to some companies, especially the high-tech companies. I mean, we've had them in different industries all along, and we have to keep an eye on that. We want to make sure that that's right. Hey, on a lighter side, I was going through all the newspapers online and found an article from April 11th, 1953. This article from the Tacoma News Tribune from April 11th, 1953 features an oddly prescient prediction about the future of cell phone technology. Mark R. Sullivan, San Francisco president and director of Pacific Telephone and Telegraph Company, said in an address Thursday night, "Just what form the future telephone will take is, of course, pure speculation." Written in 1953, mind you. Just what form the future telephone will take, in course, is pure speculation. Here is my prophecy. In its final development, the telephone will be carried by the individual, perhaps as we carry a watch today. It probably will require no dial or equivalent, and I think the users will be able to see each other if they want as they talk. Who knows? But what it may actually translate from one language to another. This was somebody in 1953. 40 years, really about 40 years before we hit the modern age of cell phones. How different was that? How forward thinking was that? Now it's time to go into this day in rock music history. And this is one of the things that I enjoy most. That I've loved music, and I love music in all forms. Some not as much as others, I will say that. But I do have a pretty eclectic taste. And this will start it out. And on this date in 1930, Glenn Yarbrough was born. He was part of the trio, the Limelighters. And he had a hit of his own, and he had several. But probably the biggest was Baby, the Rain Must Fall. Baby, the Rain Must Fall. Think about that. In 1957, Elvis Presley records All Shook Up. All Shook Up was recorded at a Hollywood studio. And the country was never the same. 1977 on this date. EMI Records issued a statement saying it felt like it would be unable to promote the Sex Pistols records in view of the adverse publicity generated over the last 2 months. Now, if you remember the Sex Pistols, or if you don't, they were one of our early punk bands, and they could be rude and crude, but people loved them. Young people loved them. They had some horrible stories about them, but it was the change of rock and roll, changing at that time. Another story in 1977, Keith Richards was fined about $1,275 for possession of cocaine found in his car after he had been in an accident. Some things never change. And also in 1977, one of my favorite groups, I considered them new wave and not punk, but the Police had their first rehearsal held at drummer Stuart Copeland's London flat. So the Police were getting ready to hit the world, and Roxanne come out a little more than a year later. 1980, you may not be able to believe this, but the Bee Gees released their greatest hits, and it went #1 on the US charts. 1993, Van Morrison failed to turn up at his Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, marking the first time a living performer had failed to turn up to receive that award. At that same award show, or at that same event, Cream performed in its classic lineup. They performed. The other inductees included Creedence Clearwater Revival, although they did not perform as a band because of fighting for the last many years. The band had fought for several years, so they didn't perform together. That was a sad date. They were ready to perform, but didn't happen. 1995 Hall of Fame Awards. The Allman Brothers, Al Green, Janis Joplin, Led Zeppelin, Martha Reeves, and the Vandellas, Neil Young, and the late Frank Zappa were some that were inducted. 1998, Billy Joel sold out a record-setting 8th and 9th shows at the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York. The 8th show goes clean in about an hour. So within an hour, the show sold out. Billy Joel was a pretty hot commodity at that time. And I've seen him a couple times and just love his music. It was good music. But I must say, I bought a greatest hits album, and it didn't include what I thought was his biggest hit. Don't Go Changing to Try and Please Me. I Love You Just the Way You Are. It didn't include that song, and I'm going, what happened? He had written it to his first wife. But for some reason, it was decided to leave that song off this greatest hits album. So I'm going, how could that happen? Man, that was a great song. I ruin it when I sing it, but you did a great job with it. In 1998, for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame again, held at New York's Waldorf Astoria Hotel, entering that night were the Eagles, Fleetwood Mac, the Mamas and the Papas, Santana, Lloyd Price. Came off without a hitch. It was a good show and a good time had by all. On January 12th, 2003, Bee Gees keyboardist and bassist Maurice Gibbs died in Miami Beach at a hospital there. The first of the Bee Gees to pass on. Now, as we know, there's only Barry Gibbs that remains from the 4 Gibb brothers. And there was the tragic and sad death of their youngest brother, Andy, who died relatively young, very young, tragically. Uh, 2004, Randy Van Warmer, the singer-songwriter guitarist who went to number 4 with Just When I Needed You Most. He passed away of leukemia. Now, this is going to make some people happy. In 2005, Green Day's American Idiot. American Idiot topped the charts. It knocked off Eminem's Encore. Green Day, local Bay Area band, top of the charts in 2005. And of course, that album was dedicated to our president, George W. Bush. Now, I didn't really appreciate that they were making fun of the president, but I'm that kind of person. But hey, I know my kids liked it. I know my kids like the music. So that's where we're at. And that is the end of today's show on Tuesday, January 12th. If you are watching the show on a replay, thank you. If you're watching it right now, I thank you also. If you'd like to leave a comment, please do. Share it out. I would love to hear from you. Let us know what you think. And if we can do anything in the Bay Area, let us know. Thank you for being here. Have a great afternoon. And this is Charles Coachman, and this is Bay Area Let's Talk. Good night.